Okay guys, I'm finally back from Planet Mira. Lady Public here bringing you the first review of 2016, which would be none other than Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Nintendo Wii U. Y'all already know how hyped I was for this game, and let me tell you, 140 hours in, I still feel like I just scratched the surface. While I did beat the game, I sure as hell did not complete it. I still have a long way to go. Now a little quick history between Xenoblade and myself. I started with Xenoblade Chronicles, and that's the only Xenoblade I've ever played, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great, I thought the story, the characters, everything about it was awesome, and the quest, it was great. It was an overall amazing experience, and I understand why that's people's favorite JRPG of all time. So because of my absolute love for Xenoblade Chronicles, I was like, I have to love Xenoblade Chronicles X, I have to play this game. It's just gonna be just as great, except better, but by better, I mean certain parts were better. Certain parts of Xenoblade Chronicles I would actually prefer over Xenoblade Chronicles X. Before I go hard in this review, just know I'll be doing some comparing between Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles X. So even if you haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles, I'll still do my best to say it in a way that you will be able to understand. So this review may be a little bit more packed than normal, but with that said, let's hop into our scales and take this review to Planet Mira. Immediately the story takes off as Earth is caught between an alien war. Trying to flee the scene in massive arcs, the aliens, later known as the Ganglion, destroy many before they can leave Earth. Only a few escape, one being the White Whale. After 2 years of drifting through space trying to find a new home, the Ganglion find the White Whale and send it crashing on planet Mira. The White Whale had cryogenically frozen humans on board, which were ejected as a safety measure. 2 months after the crash, Commander Elma finds your pod and awakens you from your stasis. From there, you customize your character and travel to the main hub, that is New LA, a city that was carried by the White Whale. It is there you introduce to more characters and is heavily encouraged that you become a member of BLADE, which is an acronym for Builders of the Legacy After the Destruction of Earth. BLADE is divided into 8 divisions: Curators, Harriers, Interceptors, Mediators, Outfitters, Pathfinders, Prospectors, and Reclaimers. Each division contributes to BLADE and gets a special perk that will cater to your playstyle. Don't worry about what division you choose so much, because you can always change it later. The story of Xenoblade Chronicles X is a total of 12 chapters. In the earlier chapters, it's about exploring Mira's 5 continents: Primordia, Noctilum, Oblivia, Silvalum, and Calderos. Survival and trying to understand the new planet that is turning into your home. It's not until later you find out the Ganglion, the alien race that destroyed Earth, also has landed on Mira, in pursuit of the remaining humans. It is then you realized it's about survival of the fittest. Now, there was a few things about the story I was feeling, and not so much. One thing I enjoyed was the tragedy in the game has already happened, meaning Earth already got wrecked, and you already crashed on Mira. Whereas in Xenoblade Chronicles, you played through the tragedy of the Mechons tearing through your city. One thing that I didn't enjoy was the segmented chapters. In Xenoblade Chronicles, you just went. You kept pushing through the story until you got stuck and you literally had to grind. In Xenoblade Chronicles X, there were prerequisites for the story and the affinity missions. And oftentimes it was like, ugh, I just want to go. The story really is incredibly short, even with the prerequisite missions. While the game developer said it's over 300 hours of gameplay, it is. It really is. But that's only because of the quest and how much you have to travel on Mira. Also, I found the plot and reasonings to be extremely subpar compared to Xenoblade Chronicles. Honestly, it wasn't that captivating. Ganglion's reasoning to desperately wanting humans extinct was mildly explained. Granted, they probably did this because of the possible minor spoiler in the ending. Skip to this number right here in 3, 2, 1. The ending is a cliffhanger. Perhaps the 4-scene sequel will polish off the shoddy story, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. Moving on to the characters. The cast of characters was okay. Don't get me wrong, they're colorful, unique, good voice acting, but I didn't feel like there was the same strong bond there was in Xenoblade Chronicles that there was in the game, seeing how there was 19 playable characters in comparison to Xenoblade Chronicles' 7. The real connection lies with Elma, Lyn, and the Nopon Tatsu. And Tatsu's not even playable, he's more of a tag-along. The reason I felt Elma and Lyn are truly the only characters you can get a strong connection to is because they're required for all of the story missions, so you really get a sense of who they are. Also, I want to point out, while I still would have rathered a pre-made character like Shulk, the silent protagonist wasn't as bad as I thought. Okay, the gameplay. First I'm going to cover the single player, and then I'll dabble into the multiplayer features. The battle system stays true to Xenoblade Chronicles, which is the cooldown system. Cooldowns also have a secondary cooldown, meaning even though you can use your art, if you wait for the second ring to fill, your art will be enhanced. Your targeted enemy is the enemy you attack and unleash all your arts on. Arts are upgradable as well as passive skills. Skills that are based on what class you are. While your teammates are a set class, your character can change classes at any point in time, maxing out at 10. Classes serve different playstyles. They also change what weapon you use, your skills, and your arts. There's also an overdrive mode, which you can activate after accumulating 3000 TP, or technical points, which reduces the cooldown time, adds a Tetrary cooldown, and more. Then there's battling with Skells. The best part of the game are Skells. Skells are giant mechs that you pilot. The battle system is the same in terms of a cooldown. The weapons you equip to your Skell determine your Skell attacks. Skells are moved by fuel, meaning any attack that they use takes up X amount of fuel. Enter a battle automatically drains fuel. Without fuel, they are rendered useless. Luckily, you can refuel Skells at the barracks with Moranium. They also have a cockpit mode which randomly happens and allows you to access all of your arts even if they're not finished cooling down. And just like on foot, Skells have an overdrive mode too. Skell overdrive means fuel isn't drained from any of your attacks and the cooldown time picks up. Lastly, there's binding, which is my favorite part of battling with a Skell. Binding allows you to bind larger enemies as long as you pass the quick time event. Every time you pass, you regain fuel. Now what happens if your Skell runs out of HP? It goes kaboom and you have to pass a quick time event. If you pass, you keep some and possibly all your health, but your damaged Skell is returned to the barracks. Every Skell comes with 3 Skell insurances, meaning you don't have to pay for repairs. Skells aren't only great for battle, but for exploring as well. You don't get your Skell until Chapter 6, so you're stuck exploring Planet Mirror on foot pretty much half the game. However, once you do get your Skell, there is no going back. You'll be in that thing for life. You're able to switch to vehicle mode, which makes traveling so much faster. But it isn't until Chapter 9 your Skell can fly. But the price of flying does cost fuel. Now let's talk exploration. In the beginning of the game, you're introduced to this handy gadget called Frontier Nav. This is primarily accessed via the gamepad. It shows the map that you're on in hexagons. Frontier Nav shows and details what affinity missions are around, what areas are completed, tyrants that are in the area, probe locations, and more. This is a great and informative mechanic in the game that helps keep things organized so the player doesn't have to. It tells you what percentage you have completed of a certain area, and planting probes during the first half of the game is incredibly important as it details the map for you. Another thing I enjoy about exploring is you'll never know what will happen. Just like in Xenoblade Chronicles, the weather changes sometimes, it's bright and sunny, and other times it's rainy, and loads of unexplored nooks and crannies. The wildlife on Planet Mirror looks like it's actual wildlife. When you explore, you see creatures drinking water, resting, rolling around. They're not just random monsters scattered throughout the maps waiting for a battle. Quests are littered throughout the giant maps, as are tyrants. Tyrants are monsters that may look the same as normal creatures, but they have a purple splat mark above them, and they have moves that regular versions of them don't. While you're adventuring, you'll find treasures that will only be unlockable based on how high your field skill level is. The 3 field skills are mechanical, archaeological, and biological. These skills can only grow if your blade level does, aka by doing quests. Pro tip: update your mechanical level first, as planting probes are based on your mechanical field level. Also, if you're online, you may see other players' characters that you can recruit. You can scope them out and see if they make a good fit for your team. If so, recruit them, and any experience they receive while playing with you stays with them. Quests. All the quests belong to Xenoblade. The amount of quests in this game is ridiculous, but we all knew what we were getting into when we started up Xenoblade, so no excuses. Quests range from normal quests like collecting or killing X amount of certain enemy, etc., to affinity quests, which require certain characters to be in or not be in the party, and affinity levels to be met. These quests usually center around a specific character to give you more background on them. And then there are story quests, which, you guessed it, it progresses the main story. Now, if it isn't already clear, Xenoblade Chronicles X is a huge open world game, and finding specific monsters or items for quests can be super difficult. They remedied this issue with the follow ball. Simply follow the ball and be led to your destination. Problem is, it takes you the quote-unquote appropriate way, meaning you could jump off a cliff and boom, be at your destination. Follow ball, on the other hand, says nope, you have to walk down this and properly enter this cave, where really again, all you have to do is jump down a cliff. Lastly, I'm going to touch up on multiplayer. To be honest, I didn't use this feature too much because a game like this I felt is very singular player. It was more like, hey, play with some friends sometime. Although I will say you get some of the best items in the game by playing with people, so there's that. Basically, you pick whatever mission you want, wait for people to join your squad, then peace out to the main door. It's very similar to Monster Hunter. Then you enter the field, kill your target, and upon returning you select another mission, wait for people, rinse and repeat. If it's not really clear about how descriptive I am, I really didn't care for the multiplayer. Not that it was bad, it's just I'm not really a multiplayer kind of gamer, unless it's a game like Splatoon or Monster Hunter that is centered around teamwork. The graphics of Xenoblade Chronicles X is a huge jump from Xenoblade Chronicles, and overall in the right direction. First, the characters, I was so happy they moved away from the painted-on faces of Xenoblade Chronicles. That was one of the first things I noticed. Some of the characters' eyes still looked a little strange to me, but it's still better than Xenoblade Chronicles. Even the armor looked cleaner, and let me just take a moment to appreciate fashion gear. It allows you to keep the stats of the armor you have equipped and wear something completely different on your avatar. So the struggle of looking good with shitty stats or having great stats but looking like a nut job is a thing of the past. Now, where the graphics really shine is the environment. Along with the creatures having a genuine breath of life built into them, so do the surroundings. Each content was drastically different from the other. You experienced different climate changes, different natural threats, different monsters. The designers of Xenoblade Chronicles X got so deep into the design that the monsters often blended into the surroundings. I promise you, they will catch you off guard at one point or another. It really made you feel like you were on this unknown planet, and just like the characters, you too were experiencing it for the first time. Not only were there an assortment of landmasses, but they were designed beautifully. Just like Xenoblade Chronicles, there were moments where I just had to stop and appreciate the atmosphere. Alongside the graphics, I'm going to throw in my thoughts about the overall interface in this game. The biggest problem with the menu is the font size. It's super tiny and incredibly difficult to read. Listen, I have great vision, I was struggling to read what I was clicking. I even switched to the gamepad to attempt to remedy the problem. Nope, it's actually worse. Eventually you remember where certain information is, but it never really gets easier on the eyes. And lastly, what I thought of the game's music. So I have to say they took me completely off guard with their music choice. They decided to have some vocals in their music this time around. I had conflicted feelings at first. The songs that had vocals were great, but I didn't think they were great for this game. For example, certain battles had songs with lyrics and it took me out of the moment at first. Eventually, after hearing it enough times, I adapted to certain songs, and I might have even looked forward to it from time to time. However, others I think I just accepted rather than enjoyed it. Overall, this game having lyrics in general was just so weird to me. I also found the music with vocals to be extremely distracting during the cutscenes where characters were talking. Like, shut up. Just like Xenoblade Chronicles, the music changes between day and night, which is a nice extra. Another thing that Xenoblade Chronicles X had going on was some hip-hop sounds, which again I thought was so left field. Like, I love me some hip-hop, but it was just kind of random sounding. I wish there were more sci-fi sounding tracks to get me in the mood of outer space or futurism. But alas, where they lacked in galactic beats, they made up for in open exploration music, or music that heightened your sense of danger. All in all, the music is great. There isn't a bad song, vocals are not. I just don't think all the music was particularly beneficial to this game. Now, after harping on the music with vocals, I think one of my favorite tracks would be one with lyrics. Ironic, right? This is number EX01. I like it because of the sense of danger and survival it has weaved into the melody, and the lyrics aren't overwhelming. To be honest, the words don't really sound like real words to me, so I think it just kind of blends into the music. Kinda sounded like an alien yodeling. Enjoy. Wowza, that was a lot, and there was so much more I wanted to say, but I didn't want this review to be like 20 minutes long. So, besides, it's probably best if you guys actually explore Planet Mirror yourself and see how you like it. What do I give this game? I hate to say this, but probably like an 8 out of 10. What holds this game back from greatness is its sluggish and calculable story. Like, it started off great, and then midway it was just like, typical JRPG, here we go. And the ending was an ending, I guess. Or a new beginning, depending how you look at it, but I did not like the ending. And since it was recently revealed that they'll be making a sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I'm honestly actually not looking forward to it. Again, I've probably just played an open world game, so I'm a little like, ugh. But at the same time, This game shouldn't have needed a sequel. Like, I wanted a complete story, just like they had in Xenoblade Chronicles. But we'll see where it goes, you know. Maybe they'll surprise me. Hopefully they'll really bring the story in this time around. Because how the ending, like, if they would have not left the ending how it was, and just filled it in with story, I feel like the story could have been so much more involved, so much better. But, you know, whatever. On the flip side of things, the gameplay and functionality, much better than Xenoblade Chronicles, that's for sure. Like, excellent. Story, not so much. Oh, and just a pro tip, if you plan on playing Xenoblade Chronicles X, read the manual. I know it sounds dumb, but there's so much they throw at you in the beginning. Like, so much functionality, customization, just knowledge they throw at you. There's no way to retain it all. Like, I forgot how to run, like, right after they explained how to run. And on a miscellaneous note, I have never been a fan of sci-fi. I didn't care for Star Wars, I didn't care for Star Trek, I still haven't seen the new Star Wars movie. Like, I've seen them, I just never cared because sci-fi, like, ugh. And believe it or not, I hate mechs. Like, I couldn't stand Gundam, Transformers. I mean, the movie was cool, but I didn't care about, like, Transformers. Gurren Lagann, I just lost interest in because of the mechs. I saw the whole thing, but I was like, why are there mechs here? Like, ugh. My point is, mechs were an instant turnoff, and same with sci-fi. But this game right here changed the game for me. Like, now I'm more open to sci-fi, and I absolutely love mechs, or skells in this game. I don't understand why I didn't like mechs before. They're fucking amazing. But because of this, I'm trying to expand my video game horizon more to sci-fi, specifically Mass Effect, because apparently everyone says it's great. I see aliens, and I'm like, ugh, I don't care. But once again, because of this game, I feel a little bit more open to sci-fi. Now with that knowledge, it leads me to my question. What is a video game that has, like, opened your horizons? Sci-fi was never my thing, but this game, I'm a little bit more, like, open to mechs now and some sci-fi. Granted, this game has some sci-fi fantasy mixed into it, which I'm definitely more open to, but sci-fi, the concept of sci-fi in general, I feel like, alright, I'm gonna give you a try. Now with that said and done, go explore, go kill stuff, and enjoy your new home on Planet Mira. Thank you for watching, and if you liked this review, please give it a thumbs up and spread the word. Don't forget to check out my other reviews by clicking the top box, or check out my first Undertale Let's Play! Yo, this game is freaking wild, like, wow. And don't worry, I'll be making a video on my thoughts on Undertale soon. Thanks again for watching! Next review is... Bayonetta.